thank you very much for having me on It's Your City. I'm David Bugli. I'm the conductor of the Carson City Symphony. And we have finished 30 seasons of the symphony in Carson City. We're starting our 31st season, and we have a real special concert. As many of you know, Nevada is celebrating its 150th year, the sesquicentennial. And I even wearing my sesquicentennial pin over here. And our concert that we're doing on October 26th, Sunday, October 26th at the Community Center is called a Nevada 150 concert. And for this, we have music that's related to Nevada, and I think you'll enjoy this, this concert. We're going to start out with a piece that I actually wrote back in 1989 for the 125th anniversary of Nevada statehood. It's called State of Metamorphosis. We performed it once. It's kind of a difficult piece, but I decided for the 150th birthday, I'm going to bring it back. I made some revisions to it, added a couple instruments to it because we have more musicians now than we did 25 years ago. So we're going to open with this piece called State of Metamorphosis. And it sort of represents three themes about, and I won't get into that, but it's one of the things that you would enjoy. I think it refers to the industriousness of the people and the calm that you get out in the desert and a lot of different things of that nature. Second piece we have was written for Nevada by a composer named Stephen Rosenhaus. And Steve's a good friend of mine, but he wrote this before he actually came out to Nevada. He was asked to do it for the All-State Orchestra, and students played down in Las Vegas. And he had a score, he had recordings, he lost the parts to it. And so a couple years ago, I made a deal with Steve that we would recreate the parts to the piece and we would premiere it. And it has a number of different movements related to different parts of Nevada. First is a movement that's called Las Vegas, and it gives you a little idea of the hustle and bustle of that city with all its bright lights. There's a movement called Cathedral Gorge, which expresses the beauty of some of the remote locations in Nevada. There's a movement called On the Emigrant Trail, which in some respects deals with the struggle of people coming across the desert and populating Nevada. There's a courting song, which is a very simple little piece that uses basically some drum, a flute, and it's sort of the nature of an Indian song, and very calm. And then it ends with Virginia City, the Virginia City Bagatelle. The last one sort of represents the hustle and bustle of that city too. And that one is written in a style that's sort of like you'd expect from John Williams, maybe something having to do with that you'd hear on a movie set. So it's a fun piece. It kind of brings you all over the state in just in just 5 movements. The other piece that we're doing, actually there are 2 more pieces that we're going to be doing in the first half. Next piece is a choral piece, and we're bringing in our Carson City Symphony Chorus. As you may know, we've had a Carson Carson Chamber Singers for a number of years, a group of about 30 singers. And Michael Langham, the conductor of the Carson Chamber Singers, when we hired him a few years ago, said, "I really would like to have a big chorus to work with the symphony." And so he's taken this choir group and added some other singers to it to create the Carson City Symphony Chorus. And that group is going to be doing a piece called This Marriage. Now, the subject doesn't necessarily relate to Nevada, but the composer does very much so. The composer is Eric Whitaker, a fairly young fellow, and he's actually originally from Nevada. He was born in Reno. I believe he also went to school in around this area, and but he's sort of achieved rock star status. I would suggest, if you're interested in seeing what can be done with choral music with large ensembles, that you check out YouTube and look up Eric Whitaker. One of the things he does these virtual choruses involving thousands of singers. People submit their videotapes of them singing in their bedrooms, and they're singing their parts, and the choruses come together. This Marriage is one of those pieces that you can find out there. It's actually done with a fairly small chorus of only, I think, 1,200 people. But as I said, Eric Whitaker is sort of like the rock star of choral writing folks these days. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. He developed a lot of his things, his early ideas about choral writing right when he was up at UNR. And matter of fact, This Marriage, I believe, is dedicated to some of his teachers up at UNR. The first half of the program is going to end with Home Means Nevada. It's a piece that was written, the original song was written in 1932 by Bertha Raffetto. She was a poet, a teacher, a musician, and back in 1932, I think there was a Republican women's group that was meeting at Bowers Mansion, and the Governor Colcott was going to show up, and they wanted some music for it, so she sat up all night and wrote this tune, Home Means Nevada. And the governor liked it so much, he proposed, and some other people proposed, that it should become the official song of the state of Nevada. And so a lot of elementary and middle school and high school students have sung this song in school, but there has not been an orchestra arrangement. Last year, in anticipation of the Nevada 150 celebration, the Reno Philharmonic commissioned me to write an arrangement for orchestra and for chorus of Home Means Nevada. And that as the project kind of grew, there was also a request to see if I could do other arrangements that would be maybe easier to do than just the full adult orchestra. So we ended up with several versions for advanced high school, not so advanced high school, middle school, and elementary school students. And there are also corresponding arrangements for vocal groups. And so I think as of this taping today, I think I've done 10 arrangements of this, and most of them are compatible with each other and they can be performed together. This piece, this arrangement, is going to be performed by the Reno Philharmonic. I have already performed it with my orchestra on our Pops Party concert in June. We're going to be performing it again. And it's going to be performed all over the state. And there is a video montage that's going to be made of various schools and choral groups performing sections of this, maybe eight seconds of a group in Elko and 8 seconds of a group in Las Vegas, and they're going to make a pastiche or a montage of everybody singing my arrangement. I feel very good about that, I got to tell you. But the important thing is we're going to have our chorus at full strength and orchestra performing Home Means Nevada. And if you haven't heard this tune in a long time, or you haven't heard it at all, because I know a lot of Nevadans are not native Nevadans and maybe weren't brought up through the elementary school, I think you'll be pleased with this tune. Now, that brings us to intermission. The intermission we'll have an opportunity for you to just relax, and then we'll come back for the final piece, which is called A Land of Sage and Sun. We commissioned this piece for the millennium back in 2000. And Jim Cockey is the composer of it. I'm hoping Jim Cockey will be able to make it down from Idaho, where he lives, to be here for the performance. And it consists of several different movements. He has a fanfare, which is a lot of fun. He uses that. And then he has a piece called Dawn, Washoe Valley, and he's using some poetry by Walter von Tilburg Clark, which will be sung by the chorus. He has a movement called Comstock, and for that we're using several different soloists and narrators. One of them is McAvoy Lane, who many of you know portrays Mark Twain. We're going to have Sean Griffin doing readings from Clark, from himself. There's another reading on that. We're going to have a young lady named Christina Thompson, who is a Paiute. She's actually Paiute, Shoshone, and part Hopi. And she's going to be singing a song called The Pine Nut Blessing. It's in Paiute. And she's actually sung for the president and his wife. We're going to have a young lady named Christina Van Geel, and she is going to portray a young, maybe 12, 14-year-old pioneer girl crossing the desert. And a piece is called Another Ox Down. It's a very interesting piece. And then we're going to have Monique Laxalt, and the daughter of the famous author Robert Laxalt, and she's going to be reading a section of her father's work, and that'll be all in there in this movement called Comstock. Then we have, the Monique Laxalt's reading is from Lessons of the Land, which is the fifth movement. We have In the Desert Tonight, and we have, in this movement, we have the chorus actually doing some coyote sounds. It's kind of fun. And then in Lessons of the Land, that's with Monique Laxalt reading from her father's writings. And then we end up with a fanfare that we had before. Now, this is where we have the orchestra and the chorus on stage again, and a lot of things going on at that point. So I think you'll enjoy that. The concert is on Sunday, October 26th. Again, it's called a Nevada 150 concert. The admission is $15 for general admission and $12 for seniors and students and association members, and free for children, young people, 16 and under. And tickets will be available at Play Your Own Music, or you can go online to Carson City Symphony, to ccsymphony.com, or you can call us at 883-4154. Again, the concert itself starts at 4 o'clock, but we have two other things that you should know about. We have lobby entertainment at 3 o'clock for those of you who are buying tickets, and that's by Tom and Mary Kay Allfrance. And then we have a preview with the soloist, and hopefully with our composer Jim Cockey, who will be out here. So I think you'll find this very interesting. It's music by Jim Cockey, Stephen Rosenhaus, Bertha Raffetto, by myself, and by Eric Whitaker. Thank you very much.